Hey, this is Mark Pattison back again with another fantastic, and in this case, musical episode of Finding Your Summit. And as you know, I try to bring in people across all kinds of spectrums, from sports to business to relationships, mountaineering. And this week, I have another guest. The other one was Steve Azar. And her name is Danielle Taylor. And this is a crazy story. This is a gal that grew up here in Southern California, and she ended up homeless 3 different times. And her life's goal and journey was to become a professional singer musician. And so she originally played the clarinet, but of course that's hard to become a singer when you're playing the clarinet. So she transitioned over into playing the piano and then forming a band and then starting to cut records and getting music deals and singing and going life on the road. And she's just got a beautiful voice. So it was really a joy to have her come here to Hermosa Beach. And we chatted about her life story, how she became homeless, how she got herself out of it. Not once, not twice, but 3 flipping times. So really incredible. So I also do this a little bit American Idol style in terms of having her sing some of her songs. You know, I do those in like 30 to 45 second clips, but just like Simon Cowell, sit back, give us your best foot forward, give us your audition tape. And she did. She delivered, and it was a lot of fun. So as always, remember to rate, review, tell your friends. Things are rocking here, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get on with Danielle. You'll enjoy it. Bye. Hey everybody, it's me, Mark Pattison, back again with another great episode of Finding Your Summit. And I'm so privileged this week to have Danielle Taylor drive all the way over from Riverside, California to Hermosa Beach, where we are broadcasting. She is such an amazing soul, and I'm really blessed. And one of the reasons why I'm blessed to have her here today is because, as many of you know, I'm climbing mountains and I was a former athlete, but one of my secret passions that I always wish I could do is become a singer. And she is a phenomenal singer. We're going to get into that today and talk about her story, but she can sing like an angel. You'll hear it, and I can't wait to talk about and hear her and those things. So Danielle, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to be here. I like you. I like Hermosa Beach, and I like talking. So it's like a great afternoon for me.
And you love to sing.
And I love to sing. Yes, we'll get to that too. It'll be good.
That is awesome. So one of the things that you just talked about a minute ago is you were sitting here at my World HQ studio and you looked across and you saw this big, gigantic painting of these 4 lemons that I have, right?
Yes.
And you asked me about those lemons, and those lemons to me represent, you know, everybody has lemons in their life. And so what do? You make lemonade when bad things come up and happen to you. And I think one of the things that, you know, I've always had that as a reminder of really trying to keep that positivity and that cup half full mentality as obstacles, you know, come up in your way, right? Yeah. What we're going to get into today on a few occasions is, you know, just the journey and the path that you have taken have led to you being homeless a few times in your life, right?
Totally.
Yeah. And so talk about lemons in your life and what you did, and you overcame those things and you made lemonade.
Yeah.
So congrats to you on that.
Thanks.
So let's start. Where did you grow up?
So I'm like a Southern California girl, top to bottom. I was born in San Diego, and then my mom wanted to pursue acting. So she moved us out to LA. And so she did that. Didn't really work out for her because she had kids, and it's probably really hard to do anything when you have children. But we stayed in LA for a while, in like Northridge and the San Fernando Valley. And then after I moved out of my mom's house the day after I graduated high school. I just wasn't getting along. It wasn't my jam. And I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
So I left, and I didn't have a plan. And that was the first time that I was like bouncing around, like didn't have a car, didn't have a place to stay, just was like, hey, can I sleep on your couch tonight? Hey, can I sleep on your couch?
Couch surfing, right?
Yeah, until I finally found a spot. And then that worked out for me for a while. And I did some school, and I worked at like Starbucks and just just odd stuff. And then I ended up being homeless like a second time.
Whoa.
It's really fast.
No. We're not going to go that fast. We're going to slow it down a little bit, okay? Okay, so I want to get into, where did you discover that you had this talent? Like God gave you this gift, right?
Yeah.
To when you open your mouth and you start to actually sing, you've got this beautiful melody that comes out of your mouth.
Well, thank you. I've always liked singing. I love Disney, and I still love Disney. I'd love to be the voice of a Disney character. So I just sang along to Disney stuff when I was really young. And my mom, it was important for her that we all learned an instrument. She thought it was good for brain development and blah, blah, blah. So I chose an instrument. And once I did, I kind of got stuck in that world more than the singing side of things. Like I didn't get to study singing. I studied classical music on the clarinet. Is what I chose.
The clarinet.
Yes.
So it seems like that's fairly hard to sing when you're playing the clarinet,
right?
Yeah, a
little bit. Yeah. So I've always loved music. I've always said that if it didn't exist, I would invent it, because it's just such a big part of my life and who I am and how I express myself. And, so I love music and I love it in any form. So I was like, fine, I'll play the clarinet. Like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. I started to kind of teach myself. My mom saw me taking off with it. So she got me lessons and I played it from like third grade when I started to, I don't know, a couple years out of high school into college. And then I started teaching it as a way to make money. So I did it forever. Okay. Singing didn't get to be part of the picture for a while.
But did you know that you had this gift? I know we're talking about the clarinet.
I always thought I was a good singer, but
like you're bopping around the house singing these Disney tunes, right?
My mom would be like, shut up. Like, not like mean, but like, you have other people living in this house, like turn the music down, stop singing so loud, right. Kind of stuff when I would sing.
So you're doing like karaoke?
Yeah, just along to whatever's on the radio. And anytime I would approach a choir teacher when I was younger about trying to be in choir, they would say, you're really good at the clarinet, stick with that. So I had no idea if I just liked to sing and I wasn't that great at it, or if I was fine at it, but I was better at the clarinet, or I didn't know what the reasoning was. And I felt really like, okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't sing in front of anybody for a really long time.
Did you not like the school play?
No, I was in a couple of musicals as like background or like understudies, but nothing like, in the forefront at all. And then,
by the way, I was in Brigadoon my senior year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was a big step for a football player.
Yeah, I'm sure. My God.
Yeah, and I was in the part of the cast in the background. I had no leading role. I think I played the village idiot.
Hey.
Just singing away. It was great.
Just having that exposure to it. Yeah.
Walking around with a kilt. Yeah. It was great.
Kilts are very manly, I wore a kilt in high school. We were the Highlanders.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't get any like time with singing until like I was a senior in high school. And around the time I was a senior, I was in The Wiz, the musical The Wiz. Mm-hmm. And I was an understudy for Dorothy, and I was like some, village idiot kind of thing as well. And then I was in choir finally because I had enough. Like when you're a senior, for some reason, you're allowed to take way more classes. And I know people take like 4, but I took like 8, because I wanted to take the regular stuff and then extra like curricular, like choir and stuff like that. And so I got to sing finally. And I wasn't that good. Like honestly, like it takes 10,000 hours to like really put your life into something and become what anyone would consider good at all.
I know.
Yeah, I know you know. Yeah. So, I mean, I wasn't that good. And I mean, I did my best and I got to sing at my high school graduation, with a group of people and stuff, and which was really fun. But there was so much stuff that other people could do with their voices that I couldn't do. And
so how do you develop that? Right. So, I mean, you're talking to a novice here, that an aspiring singer that never will be, right?
Not never.
Well, that's just not my gift, right? Yeah. We all have gifts. And so how do you do that? I mean, you have innate ability, and then you're taking that to another level.
Yeah.
And how do you make your voice become like what it is today?
A lot of tearing down of your ego is a big part of it. I mean, I attribute my voice today to the producer that worked on my second EP with me, because I didn't really grow. There was no real growth for me. To be okay, like to be just fine, you just sing along to stuff and try to match the pitches of what you're singing, And I think that's just practice, and you're singing along to stuff you like, and that's how you would develop anything on your own, kind of, without lessons and stuff like that. Of course, lessons are really helpful, but I didn't have money to take lessons, so I didn't take lessons. I do now, but I'm taking them now, but I didn't before.
So your second LP was called what?
It was called The Chase, and it was all about chasing your dreams.
Okay.
And so I did this whole thing, and I got to work with this Grammy dude named Erich Talaba. Okay. He's pretty good. And he was like, okay, these are good melodies. When you get in here, you're going to really have to bring it. I'm like, I can bring it, whatever, So then I get in there to do the vocals, and I'm singing what I think is awesome, vocals. And he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? What am I doing? I'm rocking this song. Like I'm singing it. And he's like, no, you need to belt it out. And I was like, I am. And he's like, no, you're not. And it was really hard for me. I cried like every day we recorded at the end of it, not in front of him, but like at the end. I was definitely not as sweet to him as I could have been because I was on the defensive every day that I was there because he was literally tearing down my ego to help me be a better singer, performer.
Probably as a person too.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. Yes, for sure. And I'm so grateful. I've thanked him like a million times at the end of the process. I bought him this giant like gift basket full of stuff. I'm so sorry that I wasn't like an angel working with you, you know, because it was so hard for me. Some of the melodies had to be rewritten because my voice wasn't good enough. Like it's a real blast to the ego when you think you're amazing and someone goes, actually, you're good, but you have room to grow. And you're like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
But then you realize now I know more about my voice and I get better every year because I'm constantly working on it. And I am learning how much I don't know how to do, you know, and that's amazing.
So let's do this a little bit like The Voice or American Idol audition, right? So people walk in and they go, okay, so I'm Simon Cowell, right?
Yeah.
And so think about that period of time when you wrote your song, right? From that second LP, The Chase, right? And give me a little sampler. Give me something. So you're walking in, this is your audition. And I want
like
to hear
about how I would have sounded back then?
No. I want your beautiful voice today. Just give us a little like 30-second.
Okay. So I would be like, hi, my name's Danielle Taylor and I'm going to sing this song called Fearless.
Okay. And why do you think you're going to be the next American Idol?
Because I'm fearless and it's a great song and I have a good voice and I'm the next best thing.
And you're looking at a bunch of lemons on the wall.
And I'm looking at lemons.
All right.
Yeah. So, okay. So I would say, I got to make sure I sing the right song here. Everybody starts out with the same thing, a simple sense of adventure, blank canvases. When we were green, we felt invincible, we were untouchable, and we dared to dream. I don't know about you, but I want it all back. I'm ready and I just wanna become the fearless one. And that's
awesome. Paula, what do you think? All right.
She's drinking a Coca-Cola.
No, we're going to send you through. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the song.
Yeah. That's great. Awesome. Well done. Well done. Okay. So now we're going to go back to your high school. Now you're having this conflict like a lot of kids do and they're ready to leave the house, right? And you don't necessarily have a plan.
None.
No plan, but you just like, I'm out. And then you're kind of couch surfing from here to there, right? Where do you go? What? And then what?
Well, so I'm couch surfing and my stuff is at like 6 of my friends' houses in their garages or whatever. And one of my friends is like, oh, my parents have this back house that you could live in. And I was like, cool, you know? And so we worked it out and I got to live in the back house and that's where I was for a while. My friend's mom got me my first job out of high school. I worked at this place called The Wave. It's the LA Wave and independent newspapers. And so I got to just work as a receptionist and stuff. And she drove me to and from because I didn't have a car. And, you know, it was really good for a while. But then I wanted to do something else. I was like, maybe I should go back to school. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, you know? And so then I quit my job to go back to school. And then I worked at Starbucks, which I was awful at. Couldn't wake up at like 5 a.m. and be on time. Like it was just the worst for me. So I ended up getting let go there and I didn't have any more money and I couldn't pay the rent anymore. So then I was trying to, you know, negotiate with my friend's mom, like, hey, let me stay here. Like I'll drive your, you know, I think I got a car by that point and I was like, I'll drive your kid. Like I'll pick him up from school and I'll like do things. Let me stay. And she was like, okay. And then it didn't work out for me for what I don't remember exactly why. I think it was probably my bad. Like I probably was irresponsible and didn't do what I was supposed to do. And she was like, you got to go. So I moved again and I put all my stuff like in friends' houses and stuff. And then this time I had a car. So then I started sleeping in my car. And that was the first time that I was like, I literally don't know where to go.
Tell me what that's like.
Well,
I mean, especially as a girl, you're a young girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 2 daughters. Okay. Yeah. So I can't imagine my daughters living in their car and sleeping, you know, with weirdos out there and, you know, just at night and the security. I mean, of course you lock your doors, but
people can see you in a car sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. So it depends on where you're sleeping. You know, like I would drive up and down like the suburbs of like Burbank or like wherever I was, whoever I saw that day, I'd be like, okay, bye. You have a great day. They didn't know I was sleeping in my car, you know? And so then I would just drive up and down the street until I found some place that felt like safe, that people weren't really walking around on, that was still well lit. You know, and I would just sleep there and I had a giant comforter and I would just try to cover my entire body and face, you know, because I was like, maybe it's just a lump in the car, you know, so that was fine. But when I decided, I ended up moving out to Ventura, California. I was like dating a boy, off and on dating this boy. And I was like, you know what? I don't have a job. I don't have any responsibility. I literally have nothing tying me to any location. I'm just going to move. Like, why not? So then I drove out to Ventura, and the day that I decided, like, I'm just going to live here, I got an apartment and a job in one day. Like, I went and I was like, I want to live here. I just got this job at the mall and I don't have any money yet, but I'll figure it out. And they were like, okay.
So did you have aspirations? There's a lot of moving targets. There's tons of uncertainty for you back then. You don't know where you're going to be. You don't have a house. Am I going to get a job? What's the job?
Yeah.
Do I have a car? How do I pay for the gas? All these things, right? So was it in the front of your mind, the middle of your mind, the back of your mind in terms of this singing aspiration, this singing career?
I don't even think it was really on my radar yet. I was very...
And how old are you at this point?
I was like 20. I was 19 or 20 because I graduated at 18. So, some people's birthdays are weird.
Yeah.
18. Yeah. So, I think I was like 19 or 20, late 19, early 20. I keep saying the same numbers over and over, but yeah, around there. And so, it was something I loved to do, but I still wasn't brave enough to even do it in front of my closest friends. I still wasn't singing. The guy that I dated, wasn't supportive of me really in my artistic endeavors and stuff like that. And so I didn't ever show that side of me. I had really low self-esteem, like just all this stuff. I was very like, I'm fine. I can take care of myself. But I was also like, I'm not cool. And like, I need to change who I am to be more cool. And, instead of just being myself.
Yeah, no, I've learned a lot in my time. And one of the things is that when you're trying to go after a crazy goal, right? And you need to really get clear on what that goal is, number one. And number two is surround yourself with positive voices. And of course, the opposite of that is get rid of all the negative energy that's around you. You just can't fly high.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And when I was dating that guy, his whole family was musical. Like he wasn't really, but his family was. And they would have like family dinners and the dad would play guitar and the mom would sing and the brother played guitar. So I would come over and there was music in my life still, but I wasn't part of the music in my life, and I would sing to myself, but I would never sing around my boyfriend. I ended up living with that guy. I never sang around him. So it was really like weird. And then that relationship kind of went south and his mother was like, you need to break up with my son if you're ever going to do music like you say you want, And so I was like, okay, that is a big, statement from a mom, someone else's mom. Yeah. So I was like, okay, and then he and I ended up breaking up. And then right after that, I started being like, okay, I want to do this. I bet I could do this. How do I do this? I don't know how to do anything.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the how.
The how. So I told a friend of mine at that time, I ended up working at like Mercedes and she and I met and I was like, I want to sing, but I don't even know what I want to sing or how to sing or, she was like, well, I know this guy who's like a producer and he works with like Disney people. And I was like, well, set me up. Like I love Disney. And so I met this guy and he told me to bring some songs, like sing some songs that you like, just, whatever they are. It could be different genres, just whatever. And so I brought some songs over and I sang and he's like, okay, well, you have a nice voice. Do you know how to play anything? And I was like, I could play the clarinet. And he was like, well, you can't play and sing. Yeah. You need to learn an instrument. And I was like, okay. And he's like, and you need to learn how to write songs. And I was like, oh man, okay. And he was like, because it's like the best advice for me in my life. But he was like, there's so many pretty voices out there, and you are not going to stand out if you are just a voice. You need to be unique, have something unique to say, do it in a unique way. You need to figure out what that is for yourself. So he was like, I'll get you started. And so he wrote some like stuff on guitar and gave me a recording and said, write words and a melody to this. And I did. And it was very like, every morning I wake up, I get up, the clock is screaming, babe, you're late again. It was very like Disney popish. Yeah. My friends were like, yeah, it's cool, but it's so Disney. And I was like, yeah, okay. So then that's when I started experimenting. That's when I started like trying to figure out what instrument to play. I started on the guitar. It was way too hard. I had acrylic nails at the time and I was like, I'm not taking these off. Yeah. And I had always loved the piano. So then I was like, I'm going to figure that out. And I'm going to get a piano. So I started looking on Craigslist and I found a family that was like, we're getting rid of our piano. It's a great condition piano. You just have to move it. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm going to get this piano. So I set it up and I remember I had like $300 to rent the U-Haul and, gas and all the stuff I needed to do. But I was living in a house that I was renting and I didn't have a refrigerator. And so I also needed a refrigerator that I saw on Craigslist, but I only had enough money gas-wise to go get one of the two items.
Living on the edge.
I know. So I chose the piano because I was like, I don't care. I don't care about the food. And I got the piano and I my friends helped me put it in this house that I was living in. And every day after work or before work, I would like get up and I would play it and I would have it tuned and I would watch what the guy tuning it would do. And I would be like, okay, I'm going to do what you're doing when you leave so I can try to get better. And I was pretty bad for a long time, but I had like the base. I knew music, like I had known it my whole life and I really knew classical music. So I was trying to do really complicated stuff on the piano instead of like basic chords at first.
What was your style?
I was trying to be sort of like Vanessa Carlton meets Billy Joel, maybe.
Yeah.
Very quick. Like my hands moved really quick on the keys and stuff, but I could only like hold a chord with my left one and then do crazy stuff with my right one.
Yeah.
You know, like I couldn't move both at the same time, independent of one another. And, you know, the process was really long, and I would record myself on whatever my phone was at the time and try to like, is this good? Does this suck? Like later listen to it, or, you know, but I didn't have any good topics. I had nothing to write about because I didn't really know what I wanted to say. You know, that's another thing. Like, what do you even talk about?
So do a lot of people also, so you're taking this certain path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense. That was your path. The way I think about it, like if you're a singer and like you get the band together, right?
Yeah.
And you go get the guitar player and you go get these people and you're the singer and
Yeah.
you can write, but you're not necessarily, how come you didn't go down that path?
I didn't even think about it, honestly. I think because I'm such a self-dependent person, I thought I have to do this. Like this has to be on me. And I did come to a crossroads at one point where I was going to go, there's a school in LA called Musicians Institute. And I was thinking about going to that school and learning more about playing piano and singing. And I talked to my mom and I was really tense on the inside. And that's really an unusual feeling for me. I'm a pretty go with the flow, chill, happy girl. So when I'm not feeling that way, it's very worrisome for me. And I was so just like knotted up and stressed out. And what do I do? This school's going to cost me so much money. I'm going to go into debt. Should I even do it? Is it worth it? What do you think, Mom? You know? And my mom was like, you know what? Music is in your bones. You know music. You don't need to go to school, more school for music. What you need to do is put a band together and start doing it. And I was like, okay, thank you. And that's exactly what I did. Like that day I went on Craigslist and I put an ad out, like I'm looking for a songwriter and some people to play music with. And my current bass player is the guy who responded, and he brought an electric guitar player with him, and they met me, and it was
Sort of jamming.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was the first time I'd ever heard electric with acoustic, like electric instruments with like an acoustic piano. Cause I guess I wasn't exposed to 70s music. I don't know, but like I didn't really listen to a lot of music that did that. So I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like this is a thing. We're a band. And then I was my band. And then it was like,
and you name your band is probably your name, right?
well, yeah, I went through that whole process too. I was like, do I want it to be called me? Should I want to be a band where I want us to all be friends and be equal? Should we just call it a name? So then I started doing a lot of research and reading up the ups and downs of, being a solo artist with a backing band or being in a band. And the benefit of being a solo artist is that it's you that drives it, so that you're responsible essentially for making it or not. In a band, if I'm the person that drives it, but I don't write any of the songs, you know what I mean? Then, and someone leaves the band who writes the songs, I'm screwed. Like it doesn't matter how much I want it. So I was like, I'm just going to depend on me, and I'll just have people in the band who do what I say. And then they have like creative input and all that stuff. So that's what ended up happening. And
Well, it sounds like a common theme, right? Of depending on you.
Yeah.
Right. And that cost you in different ways, right? Of either not asking for help or trying to seek it out and figure it out yourself, you know, leaving your family life situation and then also ending up living out of a car, right?
Yeah.
That's not fun, right?
No.
And you must have had just tremendous amount of, you know, seriously, and how do I get out of this? And, you know, this internal fortitude to really elevate yourself to a different place. Because obviously you weren't going to stay there all your life, and you didn't. You got out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's been it's so cliche. Like my mom read all the books about like self-help and, you know, all that stuff. And she regurgitated all of that to me. And then I took it as like the gospel. You know, I was like, life is what you make it. Okay. If my life is awesome, it's because I worked hard and made it awesome. It's not someone else's fault if it's not great, you know? So I took that to heart, you know, and I be positive. All the things you hear in like a self-help book or like in sermons or like anywhere that would be positive, uplifting stuff. That was what I grew up on. That's what my mom fed us. And each one of us, I have 2 younger sisters, each one of us digested it differently, but I took it like, that is the way. And then I watched a bunch of Disney movies, right? Where it's constantly reinforced being a good person and working hard and persevering end up giving you what you want in the end. Don't give up. That kind of stuff was reinforced in movies I was watching as a kid. So it just became like who I was.
The happy ending.
I know. And so I've always had a very like, it'll work out. Even if I don't have any money, even if I don't know how it's going to work out, I know that it will, and it does.
Was there a dad in the picture?
Yeah, I have a dad. So I have a biological dad that I don't know. Yeah. And when I was 5 years old, my mom married a different guy who I call dad today, and he adopted me. And that was the first song I ever wrote. I wrote a song for him.
So great relationship with him.
I love him. Yeah, he's one of my favorite people in the world. He's amazing. And he has been the most supportive of my music the entire time. You know, like I needed money to make my first record, or I needed money to buy like I wanted a computer to try to like record my ideas. And, my dad's always like, I got you, girl. Like I'm here for you. And he's like the best person ever.
The saying is it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And it's so true. You meet so many of these different pieces. You look back on your career, right? And, whenever that day is, or even today, and, it's your mom, it's your sisters, it's your non-biological dads.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you...
I just call him dad.
Dad, yeah. Probably some of the bandmates you talked about earlier, the manager, the producer of the songs, right? He was a big influence that really tore you, stripped you down, right? So he could rebuild you back up to a better person, right? Person and singer.
Yeah. Definitely person too, because it's very hard when you finally start to like make any kind of connections. And I don't know how it is in any other field, but I imagine it's the same. It's intimidating to work with people who are better than you. And I think a lot of times you throw your own wisdom out the window and don't trust what you know because you just take what they know as like, the truth. And then for me, I really struggled with that because I was like, I'm smart and I've gone through a lot of stuff and I know about songwriting and I know about this, but he doesn't know about this. There's no way he could know about this, but he does know about that. When do I listen to him? When do I listen to myself? When do it's such a struggle. And I'm really glad that he's like a nice, patient person because I definitely had moments where I was really panicked and I wouldn't say that I was like awful to him, but I definitely wasn't the nice person I try to be on a regular basis. So I felt really bad and I apologized like a million times. And he's like, dude, everybody does this. Like everybody goes through this. Everybody fights for their idea,
Well, it's hard not to get defensive, right? Because it's your ideas. And it's, again, what you're thinking about is I came up with these songs. I'm singing them. I'm singing them the way I interpret them. And then this guy's saying, no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it hurts.
It sucks. Yeah.
It sucks.
And I mean, it's awesome too, because I have learned, because he did my most recent CD with me and we know each other now, like we speak the same language now. And so he understands what I mean most of the time when I'm saying things and vice versa. And it's so cool to like hear my demo of a song and it's almost identical to the song most of the time because we don't change my songs too much, but there are little like inflections that I'll do or something like on the song A Borrowed Dime that I have, like I did this like weird wiggly thing at the end of the note on like in tons of spots. And he was like, don't do that. Like it'll mean more if you just sing it straight, And I hated that idea at the time, but I was like, my kind of line is, does it change the song for me? If it doesn't change the song for me, be open-minded and like, just run with it, It wasn't anything. It was just his artistic preference, But now that I listen to the song, when I hear myself on that versus what I had on the demo, I'm like, oh, his idea was way better. It was like way better than mine.
You know what? I actually like that song.
Yeah.
I heard it. I want you to sing it.
Okay.
So you've now made it to round 2.
Round 2.
Right? So we're going to do just a little sampler again, just to see if you make it to round 3.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So.
Borrowed Dime.
So let me see. I'm like a very formulaic person, so I'm just going to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
We love that.
Yes. Okay. So it goes like this. Lying here next to you, sharing your bed, listening to every breath, every little word unsaid. I can't wait till you get up tomorrow. Then I'll have another chance to plead, to beg, to borrow some time. Maybe just one afternoon, some time. Only an hour or 2, 'cause we're all living on a borrowed dime. The one thing we can't buy is more time.
Love it.
Thanks.
Love it. Love it. Way to go. You go, girl. All right. So now we're going to get into somehow or another you ended up homeless for a third time, right?
Yeah, that one was the worst.
So let's talk about why that was the worst. Well, that's actually a stupid statement. I'm sorry. I retract that.
Yeah.
Of course, anybody that falls on hard times, whatever that is.
Well, yeah, but I think, for me, I feel like bad stuff happens to everybody. That's really how I feel. And I feel like how it impacts you and how you deal with it determine how awful it is, And so the first time leaving my mom's house, I was like, I don't even care. I don't care that I have nowhere to go because I'm free, Yeah. So it wasn't so bad for me. The second time was like, yeah, that's kind of my bad. And now I have the opportunity to go anywhere I want. I'm just going to move to Ventura. Like that was my thing. The third time was like, dang, I can't believe this happened to me again. Like, oh.
How did that happen?
So I was living in the house where I originally got the piano. This is before I like put my band together and everything. And I was living in this house and I was practicing all the time, like 6 hours a day. Every free second that I had, I was practicing. And the house was connected like this kind of a house, but it had a granny flat in the back.
Mm-hmm. This is a studio?
Oh, it is?
Okay.
I would never know. It's beautiful. It's very roomy, spacious studio.
It's dressed up just like a house.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yes. This is the best studio I've ever been in.
It's got paintings and pictures and everything. All right,
yes.
keep going.
So my house was about the size of your studio.
Yeah.
But there was a granny flat connected to the backside of my house. And I was disturbing my neighbor, essentially my landlord. And he was like, you are too noisy with that piano. Like, you gotta go. And I was like, ugh, okay. Well, let me find a place to go. So then I found, and just through my own like hardships and lack of responsibility as a young adult, like I didn't have good credit and, you know, just all the cliche stuff you hear about impoverished people with bad credit. That was me. I'd already had like 2 car repossessions and like I was just a horrible credit risk. And so I found another place that I wanted to rent out house-wise. And I was like, I need to find a place that I'm not going to have any connecting walls so that I'm not bothering anybody and, you know, whatever. And this house was like, yeah, sure. We love you. You have a great personality and like, we'll take a chance on you. And I was like, yay, thank you. I had a good reference from the place I was in. The day I was supposed to move, I had the U-Haul. I had everything ready. They called me and they said, we changed our mind. We don't want you to move here. And I was like, oh no. And then I told my landlord. And my landlord was like, my daughter is coming to live in this house and she already gave her notice. So you got to go. Like there's no option. It was the worst. It was the worst because it was just like crap. Like this happened to me. This isn't really my fault. This just happened. Now I have to figure out what to do. And so I put all of my stuff in the U-Haul and I drove it to a storage unit and I paid like, you know, it's like $1 for the first month or whatever. Yeah. So I put it in the storage unit and then that was it. And I was just like, what do I do? Where do I even go? Like, where do I move to? I had a job, so I had money and I would go to my job every day, but I was living in my car and I lived in my car for like 3 months after that. It was like a while trying to find a place that was going to work with the piano. And, you know, like I was trying to make sure that it didn't happen to me again. So depressing. And I ended up going to my storage unit like every morning. Like I would sleep in the parking lot of the mall in my car, which was the worst because Ventura is a very beachy town like Hermosa. And there are some dodgy characters that walk the streets after the sun goes down, you know, because they don't have a place to go. And so I hated it. So I would sleep in the mall parking lot, which would shake anytime a car drove through it and stuff. And I would like take showers in the public restroom of like, I would like, you know, ABC cleanup kind of thing. Yeah. And I would wake up right in the morning and I would rush off to my storage unit and I would open it up. I put the piano like right at the front and I would just play piano.
How old are you at this point?
I don't even know. 20.
25?
No, like 23.
Yeah, so all this is happening to you pretty quick. From
real
18,
back to back to back.
Back to back. Okay, got it.
Because I met my bass player when I was 23. So it was like right before this.
Okay, so now you're in all this stuff, right? You're back to back to back and you're in and out and, you know, situations and bad credit. I want to understand how you
climbed up over it
and how you got through it, right? This is about finding your summit.
I know.
Right? And so you've had all this amazing adversity, right? And it's just like at some point in time, there's a crack in the wall.
Totally.
Right? Where you're just going, the light's coming through. I'm going towards it. You know, this is not going to happen to me again. And you're progressing in all the different life skills that you need to learn. And you're progressing towards a career.
Right.
That you are today.
So when I finally find a place, right? I'm looking on Craigslist and I finally found it was an apartment and I was really worried about it, but they were like, it's going to be fine. We know what you're doing. We know who you are. And like, you can totally play your piano here, whatever. That's where I met my band. That's when I made that decision to have a band. And then I started really being like, once I had a band, I could hear how it would all fit together. And once I could hear that, I was like on fire and I didn't stop. I put my band together in like October and by March I had something that I wanted to like record, you know, and I put my MySpace page up and MySpace. That's how long ago it was. Yeah. And I did that. And then I was just like, I'm going to perform at every hotspot in LA. I'm going to perform. Like I did everything. I did the House of Blues and the Rainbow Room and the Viper Room and like anywhere that I could perform.
How do you get in? Do you have the audition tape?
No, I didn't have anything at the time. I just would email them and be like, hey, I don't care what your standards are. I will meet all of them. And I want to come perform here. And they were like, okay, you need to sell X amount of tickets to do the show. Okay, done. You know, and I would do it or I would pay out of my own pocket so that I could just have the opportunity to be in those places. And then that's how I started getting experience. That's where I started meeting people and learning about, you know, what it means to actually sing songs that you care about, you know, instead of just songs. And then
how was that for you to get on stage in front of people?
The very first time I did it, I was scared because I didn't know how to play and sing at the same time. I couldn't play my piano. So I asked one of my friends who knew how to play. I was like, can you play my songs and I'll just like play chords and because they were so complicated. And he was like, yeah, sure. So I did that. And then I was fine with being on stage because my mom was there. My sister was there. My friends were there. Like, it wasn't like a judgmental environment the first time for me. It was a very like, we're a bohemian, like little spot. We want music here anyways. We don't care. Just do your thing. And then my friends and family were there. So it was pretty supportive and good for me. It got worse when I got into LA. And then the stage fright got so bad when I first started opening for like national headliner acts.
Like who?
My very first show was for Johnny Lang. And I couldn't even breathe. I was just like, I don't know. Like, it's because he had like, it was like sold out show and he had like all these lights and fog machines and like his band was amazing. And I was like, I heard their sound check and I was like, I can't. And I remember being in my car being like, I don't know how I'm going to open for this guy. Like, no, I don't have any air. I can't, whatever. So I would pick songs to open shows that would like have lyrics that would motivate me, like I had a song, I've never recorded the song, but there was a song, I don't even know what I called it, but the beginning words were like, this moment, I own it. I'm going to make it last forever. Like that was the opening line of the song that I sang for that show because I was terrified, and it gives me time to like breathe and eventually I got over it. I think that's just a practice thing. That's just the more you do something, the more comfortable you are with it. And I've done it so much now that now it's not a big deal, but small crowds on their cell phones and you can tell if they're watching you or not listening or when they go to the bathroom, it's worse.
So let's talk about where you are today.
Today, I have my album out and I'm...
And the name?
It's called 1440. Thank you.
1440. Okay.
Yeah. It's a measurement of time. I'm sort of a time nerd. It's a measurement of time. It is 1440 seconds until midnight. And my idea for that song was pretty much like Cinderella at the ball. I know I'm referencing Disney again, but it's very like if you only get one life and your life is over at midnight, if you get 24 hours or whatever and your life is over at midnight, what are you going to do with it? You better live it to the max. If you don't get a ton of time here, you don't get a lot of time, So you get 1440 seconds before you're dead and gone. That's what the idea is.
That's certainly been your life so far, right? Just on the edge and pushing it and going for it. So tell me what your life looks like today, right? Yeah. So you just got done with this album. Are you out touring? What's that look like?
Yeah.
What's that like?
So I do shows like 170 shows a year. So I'm always performing. There's 52 weekends in a year. And I do Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and sometimes I do Mondays and Wednesdays and whatever odd shows. I perform anywhere and everywhere. And that's a large source of income for me because I always get paid whenever I go. And then in November, next month, I'm actually on Veterans Day. I'm putting on a show in Silver Lake and I rented out like this little tiny black box theater and I'm just going to do a night of original music and do my thing and hope that people enjoy it.
Send me an invite.
I will. I would love for you to come. That'd be super great. And so like, I'm just trying to move forward on that front. I have my music on Sirius XM, which was crazy. They approached me and I thought it was a scam. Of course, I was like, what? But I have my music on Sirius XM, which has opened a lot of doors for me. And so I'm currently talking with this gentleman who just started up his own record label about possibly joining his label or just working with him to connect with producers that are even larger than the one that I have worked with. I'm a very loyal person. So I like to work with people who've worked with me economically or just emotionally or whatever. And the guy, Erich, that has done the last 2 records for me is amazing. So I'm like, I'm not leaving you unless someone way better than you comes along, and then I don't mean like, I just mean we all have the opportunity to get better. So if there's someone who has been in the business who's like worked with Adele or something, well then, okay, Otherwise, I think he's great. And I'm looking at recording more songs soon. I have a new music video that I just did that's going to come out in a couple weeks. For my song, Is It Okay?
Yeah.
And that song, it's a very private song and it's the song that people like the most of my
What's that sound
songs.
Like? Audition number 4.
It is, how does it go? It's one of those days when it's hot but it rains at the same time. One of those days I pretend that I am but I'm not fine. It's one of those days I couldn't get up if I wanted to. It's all of this weight on me. It's the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You made it through another round. I do have a special celebrity guest coming in here in just a couple of minutes to accompany you on your final audition. To
Lovely.
See if, we make it all the way through. So, okay. So where can people find you?
My website is my favorite place people can find me. It is DanielleTaylorMusic.com. And then from there, anywhere else, Danielle Taylor Music is a pretty good way. If you Google it, it'll come up with everything. My Instagram is Danielle Taylor Music. My Facebook is Danielle Taylor Music. The only thing that's not Danielle Taylor Music is Twitter.
Yeah.
That's Danielle Taylor _, which I hate. I wish it was music.
Yeah.
But anyways, everything's findable through.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, this has been a unique journey. I've talked to a number of people, and I've never talked to somebody who was homeless, right? And I've never talked to somebody who, it really takes a lot to, when you're stuck, to get unstuck, right? And that happens to a lot of people. And I think you said this before earlier in the show where, it's just one of those things where we all have a different version of what that is. I've had mine, and I could go on and on and on, and I have about what that is and what that means. And it's just like at the time when you're in it, a lot of times it's hard to like see the future and how you're going to get out of it. But you got to take these little micro steps.
Totally.
And as you inch along to move the ball down the field is a sports analogy, but one thing, connects to another. And I always like to say action creates reaction. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. So, you have to do it or you sink.
I call them small successes. A small success gives you the motivation to find that next small success, So that's all. My life is just a succession of small successes. One after the other, little tiny things that go, ooh, that was cool. I want another one of those.
Yeah. I love that. So I love that.
But I like your ball and you're moving. I don't really know much about football, but I totally love that analogy because that's what it is. You have to just, you can only see so far in front of where you're standing. And you have to just be like, okay, I can take the next 5 steps. I can figure out how to get from this side of the room to that side of the room, Once you do that and you look back, before you know it, you've crossed like an ocean, because you've taken it slow. Instead of just looking at this unsurmountable goal in front of you. I'm sure when you climb mountains, you're not looking at the top going, I have to take one giant step. You're thinking, let me just make it to this pit stop or whatever they're called.
They're not pit stops. But they were one step in front of the other to the, the next camp as you make your way up the mountain.
Yeah, that's a better word.
Yeah. So, okay, listen, this is like my secret fantasy is to always have been in a band. I never have been. So this is the closest I've ever been to this, right? Yeah. And so I'm telling everybody out there what I asked you before you showed up. We have literally never practiced this, but there's a song that I always play that goes into my ears. It's such a sweet song. It almost makes me tear up. And it's a song that Carrie Underwood redid called How Great Thou Art. And so it's a simple song to play and it's just so beautiful. And so as I was listening to your voice in some of your songs and doing research for all this, it was like, you know what? I need to play this song. She needs to sing it and we're going to take this on the road and go national. I'm not sure what's going to happen out of this, but it would be a blast to do this. So would you mind playing this with me?
Yeah.
And we'll just do a sampler and we'll see where it goes. So
definitely.
I'm going to grab my little guitar over here. So here it is. This is the song that Carrie Underwood made famous called How Great Thou Art. And you guys can hear my guitar in the background. Right.
I've never even heard this song before you mentioned it. So I hope that this works out.
Well, yeah, this is the way it goes, right? This is the way.
This is on the fly. This is legit on the fly.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, my God. When I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee.
That's all right.
How great thou art. I don't know how this part goes. How great thou art.
Okay, we can end it there. So anyway, that just made my whole world and it was awesome. And,
and I never get to sing with just a guitarist. I loved that.
Well, that's why everybody out there can see why I'm going to skip my day job. I'll just do podcast and pretend like I'm doing this. So appreciate that. I put you on the spot.
No, thank you.
It's a beautiful
song. I can't believe I've never heard it before. I was talking to my mom about this song actually, and I was like, I went to church. I never heard this song.
Well,
it's a great song. It's beautiful.
It's a spiritual song, and I think it gives hope for a lot of people that are out there. It gives me hope about the direction and the path that I'm following, and I don't know, it just uplifts me in the right ways, right? It gives me peace and calm, and I love that, and I love hearing from you, and I love obviously hearing it the way Carrie Underwood sings it.
She's gorgeous, yeah.
She's gorgeous. So, anyways, Danielle, thank you so much. You've been a joy. You've been a treat. Good luck to you in the future. I want to make that Silver Lake show for sure.
November 11th, you're there.
You need to send the invite and I'll be there. And on that note, we will do all your different tags and everything else in the show notes. And again, thank you so much.
Dude, thank you for having me. It's been so awesome talking to you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Mark, and thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast this week. We had another great guest, and it is so awesome to continually have these different people on, talk about their different adversity, how they've overcome that, and what they've done to affect change in their life to become very successful. So, really appreciate you guys tuning in. So, as always, we love the rating and reviews that you guys do on iTunes. If you haven't done that, please go do that. It really helps us in terms of increasing our visibility within Apple iTunes. And anyways, it's just fun to share the love and what these different stories, these different people are all about. So make sure you tune in next week. We appreciate it. And that's it. Bye.